Hello, and welcome back to How to Sprite Kirby in Flash Shades. Today we'll go over how to do the different impacts and sprite fight choreography. So, let's begin. We got our basic timeline with our layers. We haven't put anything in the layers yet. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just add a line, because we're not gonna be adding a background yet, since I do want to show you how to do different types of impacts. So, let's add our line that's a ground. That's good. You can zoom in, like, very closely. Okay. Let's get our characters out. I'm going to be using Aege. He's basic enough where he has different types of, like, attacks. Should be good enough. So let's get a sprite. The way I sprite animate is that I would just grab things from a sprite and just put it into Flash. That way, I don't have to like make a whole folder of like symbols of like different like attacks, and I can just put it there. So, let's trace bitmap. Let's resize into, let's say, 200. That should be good. Okay. But first, gotta get them out, put them on layer 3. So, we'll just name the first layer VCam. We're gonna get into that much more later. So, let's get our sandbag. So the main thing that Sprite does is that there's a background. Basically means that this is like an old MS Paint like sort of file. So if you try to like erase the background, all you just get is like a black image. What I tend to do is that I would take the file, like copy it, make a new layer and paste it, and then I just turn off the background layer. Alright, so basically I'm just gonna fill that in. There we go. It's like nothing happened. So we have our sprite sheet. We have our sandbag sprite sheet. We're just gonna take one sprite and we're just gonna go into layer 2. Alright, so we're just gonna take our sandbag and we're just gonna place it over here. Modify, trace bitmap, resize. We're just gonna put them like right here. You know? Should be simple enough. Just gonna drag it inside. So, as usual, when you try to like start it off, it'll make things super fast. So, you know, nothing's happening. So, this way, like, when he's preparing to like attack, it has enough frames to like, you know, show what he's about to do. So, let's make Aege do a simple punch. So the way that like people would sprite animate like choreography attacks is usually very different from one another. People have their own styles. But I'm gonna demonstrate to you how I would do it. So, let's begin. Let's get a normal punch. So we're gonna start with this frame, because this would be a nice transitional frame to whatever Aege is about to do. Basically, with Sprite copying and pasting, it's gonna go all the way up in the corner. Sometimes, the way I would do it faster is that I would just delete what's in the frames, and just put it through, like, you know, from what I have in these bitmaps. That's what I usually do. I just, like, you know, trace bitmap each of the sprites that I would do. So, this basically Aege is doing a in-between. That way, like, instead of just going from one sprite to a punch, he has the in-between to like show that he's you know, ready to like punch. So here we go. Basically, this is what we have so far. It's a little slow. So basically what you can do is just like remove a frame. And that way like he's like punching a lot faster, but he's like sliding forward. You can also add a little bit of like skewing, like make him like just like skew a little bit forward. Make him like move down before, that way it goes into like a sprite and just that. So let's add the next, let's add like some impact. So we're gonna like just go into this frame, and here's another cool one. If you go down here to swap, you can swap a symbol. So I'm just gonna swap it with the symbol 5. That way, you know, shows that his punch is finished. And this is how I show that like it's a little bit of impact, so he's like moving forward. So I'm just gonna be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. So he's like, basically the reason why like, you know, it stops like for a few frames is because it's an impact. So I'm gonna change the sandbag sprite to where it's getting hit. Let's see, let's use this one as a good example. So here we go. Basically, Aege does an attack. Let's turn off the onion skin and see what we got. So basically, what we can do is that we can move the sandbag back a bit to show that, you know, impact has been made. But we can also like tilt the sandbag a bit forward. That way it shows like, boom, he's been hit. And then with the last frame over here, you can just move it back a bit. Not a little bit, not like too much, but you know. And then you can show that like it's been a light hit, so the sandbag is moving back. And then you can like switch the frames between the sandbag to the original sprite. Now it's a little choppy, I didn't mean to make it that choppy, so what we can do is we can remove a few frames, that way it doesn't look like MCQ Square's animation style. But then it just looks a bit too fast, and there's no like pacing when it comes back, so you can bring back a few frames and just add a little more frames for like sliding. There you go. It's just a small hit that Aege does, nothing much. But I can also ease this back so where it has a bit more better frames for transition. So yeah, that's basically it. That's how you do a light hit. So let's add a like impact frame, like a hit spark. Let's add a hit spark. So I'm gonna open up Tyler's public resources, which should be public in my Google Drive effects that I handed out to everyone. So let's find a good hit spark. I always use these hit sparks often, but if you can find better ones, then hey, that's on you. You can like always use like better like, you know, hit effects. So I'm gonna make a new layer, and I'm just gonna place the hit spark right here. It's a bit too big, so I'm just gonna size it a bit. Basically, where it repeats, don't want to repeat. Boom! Look at that. It's like he hits, and that's how you do a small hit. Now let's get into doing a stronger hit. Now when doing a stronger hit, you want to like make sure it's kind of a build up, but it's like also like not the hardest hit. So let's go into using like this punch right here. This one has a bit of a charge up to like a stronger punch. So as usual, we're just gonna make like Aege like, you know, transition into another sprite instead of like a simple like hard transition. You can turn back on onion skin. Basically, I usually turn on like or turn off onion skin to see if it looks good without the shadows in the background to know where I'm going. So basically, I'm just giving Aege like a bit of a build up. That way he's, you know, ready to like do like a medium punch. So basically, you just add a little bit of a skew here. You don't really have to like tween any of this, like that way I can have more flow over what frames I use. So there we go, he's basically ready to punch the sandbag. And that's when you can just move the first frame forward, and then we just use another frame. So he finally made it to where he finally takes the first punch. It's basically a charge up to... Now it looks like he's taking too long, so you can actually just reduce a few frames to your liking. That way it has enough pacing where it's like, you know, he's prepared to punch compared to the first attack. So what I'm gonna do is that it's gonna be extended a few frames. And we're just gonna bring back that, you know, first hit. We're just gonna extend it over here. And we're just gonna make him fly back a bit, you know. Basically, I haven't done the complete animation of Aege, but it gives you an idea of that, like, a small impact doesn't do much, but a medium impact shoves the sandbag, like, far away. So, let's complete an Aege's punch animation to show you an example. There you go. So it just looks like he's shoving him, so there's really, like, you know, no impact. So we can just use the same, you know, frame that I used for the punch and just put it over here. And there you have it. So you have light hits and then you have medium hits. Pretty good. Now let's get into doing the hard hits. How would Aege do a hard hit? Well, we can go a lot tedious way, or we could just go an easy way of how Aege would do it. So, let's begin. So we're just gonna bring Aege back into like a normal, like, you know, stance sprite. That way go into an easy transition. And then we're just gonna give him the regular stance sprite. So there you go, see? He's back to his, you know, normal stance. Pretty basic. Basic knowledge to know how to move Aege. Basically, any of the sprites here can be used as like different momentum and transitions. That way you don't have to go from like one sprite to like some sort of like second attack sprite, like without any transition. So that's basically it. Unless if you have a smaller sprite sheet, then that is okay, but even then skewing will still help it to give it some momentum. But moving on. So Aege here, he's standing, you know, still. Like, what's he gonna do to make like a hard hit? Well, that's when we come in with a another animation I did, where he, you know, was like showing his effect. So basically, what I made here is with the, like, you know, effects of like arrows and stuff like that. So I made another one and just apply it to like from a symbol itself. So like the animation I made is inside a symbol, so that way I can keep repeating it. However, I don't necessarily have to like use it, so I could just remove that and I can just erase this, and there you have it. So basically I made myself like an Aege file. So it is called symbol 2. So I'm going to take my symbol 2 effect that I made, and I'm going to apply it as a graphic. So Aege is standing here. I'm going to apply it. It is a big effect for different reasons, but you can also resize it down. And I can also just like edit inside it turn that off. I could take the arrow and just, I could flip it. Like I could just easily like flip it. Like I could just make him go that way instead. That way I don't really have to change anything. And that way, so basically how Aege arrow works is that inside it, it basically is a glow. Like it goes from like 10 to 100, and it's like a fade glow. So it fades as it glows. That way, it does that cool effect, and just like that, he did his effect. So I get out a simple 2 back to scene 1, and I could just place it right here, resize it a little bit. That way it matches the Aege sprite here. This is a graphic. That means it'll repeat each time on the timeline. So I could just clear that. So basically, boom. But Aege is still right there. So what I want to do is erase Aege at this frame right here when the effect begins. So it's like. Phew. And then what I could do next is extend it a little bit, and then take the frame arrow that I made, this one, and I could just extend it. It doesn't have to like show like where the beginning is due to like where the VCam will be placed. So I'm going to say extend it right here. Let me change this movie clip into a graphic, that way I can see where the animation begins and stops. And just like how I did before, I take the last frame of it and I just move forward, create motion tween, just like that. So what's Aege gonna do here? Well, he's gonna basically kick it really hard. So let's find a good kick sprite. Here's where we begin, where we show a really hard hit of what Aege is about to do. So instead of using that simple, like, you know, sandbag sprite right here, we're gonna be taking the hard one. We're gonna be taking the one that looks like I got hit the most in the right position from right there. So we're gonna erase the sandbag sprite from right there, and we're just gonna place it where it actually was. Now it's okay for like different styles to happen, depending on like if you want to hit it and it like goes smoothly, or if you want it like a video game style where there's hits done and things like that for when the VCam shaking begins, which I'll get into after I finish this process. So Aege goes back. Let's extend the frames a little bit. That way it's like, you know. So Aege basically appears like out of nowhere, like very start. What you can also do to make this like really nice is you can add a blur filter to it. You can take off the lock, you can erase the blur Y, and just give it that. Add a little stretch to it. Back. And it's just because it's happening so fast that you wouldn't notice. So we're gonna extend it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 frames. 6 frames should be good enough. And that's when you can also take the anchor point down here. And the sandbag should be going flying. Like it got hit hard. So instead of just like adding it like frames like, you know, like this, because, you know, then it'll be slowly and then it looks like it's just tweening normally. Because this it'll basically look like this. Like if you try to tween it like that, like this, I mean, yeah, it looks good, but there's no like impact. Like Aege is just like standing there. Now here's what you want to do. Since the sandbag got hit real hard, the next frame he should be like flying back, and that means he's not coming back on screen. Bye bye, sandbag. So yeah, you can also add a blur to like give it that cool like effect that it's going so fast that like it cannot comprehend what's just happened. So I'm gonna give it a blur. 10 is usually good. You can go to like a higher amount, like however you feel like, or just a basic 5, whatever works for you. So there you have it. Like, he kicks them. Now you're probably wondering, like, what's Aege gonna do after this? Just a regular, like, you know, coming down off like doing a spin kick. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take Aege, moving the front kicks, because I want to take the kick that he did like right here and move it onto like a spin kick. Basically doing tweens is okay, especially nested tweens. So I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna apply the spin kick together, basically like from my last tutorial. Let me just go back down to where we're at. We take the spin kick, we apply as a graphic. Now here's where it gets cool. So we have our spin kick, right? We could just put it as a symbol again. That way it is a animated symbol. So, you know. And here's where it gets fun. I'm gonna take the middle part and I'm just gonna extend it. And I'm gonna take the last part and I'm just gonna, you know, place the two where the ground area is at. I'm gonna tween this, I'm gonna put it to ease 100. So I tween it into an ease 100, that way it has a slowdown. And then I'm going to ease negative 100 when it falls. So basically just woo. It appears as a movie clip, so basically it doesn't show that it's moving. So I'm gonna change it into a graphic loop. That way it shows that it's moving. So depending how long the frame is and where Aege is going to be going, I'm going to erase the first frame so that way I can go into the second frame, which is by, you know, pressing F6, and then basically just count where the frame ends right there. Okay, so I'm just gonna tween that. Like, boom. Like, it doesn't make sense of like why he's going up in the air after that kick, but it looks cool though. So we're gonna make him land on the ground normally. Like, which sprite should we show that he lands, like, you know, an interesting way? Let's go with the basic one. So we're gonna take that sprite and we're just gonna place it here. So basically what I didn't explain in my last tutorial is that if you try to reverse like trace bitmap a sprite, it's gonna look weird. So never like flip a bitmap and try to trace it, or else you're gonna end up what looks to be like garbage. And basically what I tend to do is that since it's gonna be like a speed to slow is what I say, like an easing, like instead of me tweening it to an ease, I'm gonna be frame by framing it. So I'm gonna just make a simple little bend, little squish, and he's gonna be like moving back, like, you know, just moving back a little bit. And that's how you do a frame by frame thing. Now that doesn't look natural. And I should apologize for that. But if it doesn't look good, all I have to do is just remake it and it'll look fine. There you go, see? Now that's much better. Look how nice that goes. Alright, so for the hard hits, basically like how I explained of using like this sort of like impact, like yes, it could work as a very strong impact, but let's give it a stronger impact. Let's give it one of these impacts and put it in our folder. Alright, so add another layer because when doing effects, you're gonna need a lot of layers, and I'll show you after this one. So we're gonna take our hit effect 48 and we're just gonna apply it here, and then boom. Here's how it looks without the onion skin. Pretty strong, right? Let's make it stronger. Let's add a sound wave, because sound waves is how you know that, like, it really shows the effect. So let's add another layer, and we're just gonna apply the sound wave. We're gonna resize that a bit, and then boom. That's how you know it's strong. So, as you're wondering, it looks like it was a little too fast, like, for the impact. Like, it could have had like a couple of frames longer to last. So, it doesn't hurt to, like, you know, just add like 2-3 more frames. It'll only come in handy due to the camera shaking, so it'll look natural, like, you know, when it's like a pause. So, here's what we done. We did one, like, simple small hit, you know, not much. We did a medium hit with the build-up, because without build-up, it'd just be no point of making a hard hit or a medium hit. It makes more sense, like, if there's no build-up for a small hit, because, you know, it's like a quick reaction. So there you go. And that's basically how you do, like, small, medium, and hard hits. Now, let's get into adding the VCam. So we got our basic VCam. We can just put it anywhere we like, doesn't matter. Basic camera, and we're just gonna put it over here. We're gonna zoom out. Just extend that to that. Okay, there we go. Now it should look closer. That's how it looks. So, let's add a little bit of, like, impact. So we take our basic, you know, VCam. We just give it a little shake. We just go like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, like 3. 1, 2, 1, 1. So that's what it'll look like. So let's take a look. There we go. See, did a little, like, camera shake once, you know, one little hit. And just like that, that's how you basically, like, just do a little camera shake when he hits, and it gives it that, like, impact feel, even though you didn't do anything. Let's do it for the second attack. So it's like a much harder hit, so we're just gonna be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Basically just count, like, on the arrow keys of, like, how many you're, like, doing. And if you think it's, like, a good enough shake, you could just end it to, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1. Like, boom. So it's basically a longer lasting shake. So here's how it looks. So basically it had more extra shake because of the extended amount of numbers, how many times I was, like, clicking. Very nice, very nice. Now, let's get into the harder hits. We can also add, like, a little bit of movement, so, you know, we can add a little tween. Give it a, like, you know, what's gonna happen. And then we can also, like, move the camera forward. We can, and here's, so basically if you hold shift and use the arrow keys, you're gonna jump a lot more. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. You can also move it forward a little bit because Aege is going to be, like, flying. 1. You can also move it a little bit too. Give it that little ease. So here's how it'll look in test movie. That way you can see that the camera shake is very valid for that very hard hit. See? Like, that was some strong impact right there, what Aege did. That's how you know it hurt. And there you go. That's basically how you do small, medium hard hits. I hope this part 2 tutorial will help when you test this out. What I recommend is not over tweening things, but also just try to like add your own like frames by doing frame by frame. It's a lot more fun and you have more control over it. So until next time when I do choreography of 2 characters fighting for part 3, I'll see you then.